Ciao guys, welcome to our Speakeasy. Today we have a very special episode and the first with a guest, Xavier de Roquemorel, CEO and co-founder of the Reborn Chapek. Welcome Xavier.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Welcome everyone.
So we are here to celebrate the new partnership between Chapek and GMP, which just became official retailer for the brand. For the occasion, we have changed location and moved to our headquarters in the heart of Milan. Xavier, thanks again for joining us. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Grazie Jacopo. It's a pleasure that is shared. It's been a long time we know each other.
Of course.
And your family has been a key player in what has become the Italian watchmaking specialty market.
Thank you very
knowledge, passioni. So it's a great pleasure to join this family.
And to start this new adventure with you and with Chapek.
Thank you.
Amazing. Xavier, please tell us and our viewers how Chapek was born, how everything started.
So there is the history and there is the story. The history is what we see here with these beautiful models. So this was an early model from the company that was then called Patek Chapek. It's interesting because it's a manual wind from the crown. So the crown won the pocket watch. And this is quite a big story because we could buy it in auction on the phone, and it was raising. And a good friend of mine acted as the buyer, so it was very special. He was in the room, and then this one has a very special story because it's a watch that we choose among plenty of Chapek watches to keep it as a semaphore, as a light in the dark, to think, okay, this is our reference to create and to not go away from Chapek personality and spirit. And we could buy it after. So we had it as an image.
Oh wow.
And we inspired ourselves from that image. We also did the same with the movement, and we could recreate a movement that was exactly similar to the original movement
in the Quai des Bergues collection.
In the Quai des Bergues collection. But the beauty is to find it this time in Sotheby's and to be able to buy it the same. So we're building slowly our little historical collection. It's not a museum.
It's gonna be.
Maybe one day. But it's especially important because, in the roots, so in the history of Chapek, there has been a lot of events, ups and downs, and etc. And we wanted, when we decided to resurrect Chapek, to be true to him, to be true to his history, to be true to his personality. I don't like the word DNA. I think it's too widely used by marketeers name. I prefer to think about a person and about his style and about his way to be, his look for details, these kind of things. And when we worked on the first designs, we worked a little bit as when we were in school, and reading a poem and trying to understand what the poet was trying to say. It's difficult. We all remember, this poem from Baudelaire and Rimbaud for the French-speaking people, and Italians for sure have beautiful poem too. And you're like, well, what does he want to say? And it's exactly the same work. What does Chapek want to say to us through this watch? And we understood that he had a certain conception about beauty. And we could extract from that a certain number of directions. One first direction was a certain verticality, which actually is very much, I think, in line with what Leonardo da Vinci that maybe made this place here. That's quite incredible to know that the tower.
Guys, you can't see it, but our headquarters is in the old center of Milan, and these buildings were built around Leonardo da Vinci's area. So maybe in another video we'll show some details. But today we have to focus. We have a guest.
He had this vision. Leonardo da Vinci, he worked a lot on beauty, on the golden number, and on this verticality based on the human body. Okay, so we are completely asymmetrical in that axis, horizontal, and quite symmetrical as persons in the vertical axis. So we always, when you conceive a watch, try to maintain that verticality. And the second thing is that there is no beauty that is already seen, that is banal. That's Baudelaire who says, il n'y a pas de beau banal. So you need to have an ingredient in the creation that creates the piel di pollo, no? Pelle di pollo.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps, yeah, thank you. Goosebumps. And this comes from the surprise, comes from something that you're not expecting. And because he was more in a relatively classic approach, our watches have also, from far, a relatively classic approach. And then when you get closer, that's when
You see that there's a twist.
Exactly. And this is the twist that makes this special ingredient that creates the beauty, the harmony sometimes come from a certain chaos, a certain disharmony. So it's interesting, and we play.
Xavier, you spoke about creativity when Čapek was alive. How do you start your creative process today, besides taking inspiration from the past, from his watches?
You know, it's a big issue because what is beauty also, you know? And it's a subject that I always loved. When I was working at Loewe and when I was working at Zegna, this was an ongoing reflection. And there is a dimension that is emotional, there is a dimension that is subjective, and there is a dimension that is more rational. So when we speak about the verticality, this is more rational. You can really depict the things. And you should, as much as possible, use these rational elements to avoid the subjective elements. But this dimension of emotion makes that there is, by essence, a dimension of subjectivity. So this is why it's interesting to work in a different level. We get a lot of influences and we are always changing. You will be a different person also in what you think in 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely.
And if today we ask you about a subject that is a serious subject, you are going to give a set of answers. And if we do that to 100%, and we ask them in 10 years what they think, more than half of them will have completely changed their opinion. Now, we are the same, and what we look at in Čapek is to breathe l'air du temps. Okay? L'air du temps, which means what people are excited for today. What do they have? What they have goosebumps for. And this, you hear it, you cannot say it. You know, so you have to put yourself in a position not of saying, this is beautiful because I said it. And my taste is the best. Of course, I'm the CEO of Čapek, so my taste must be this. No, this is not the truth. You have to use your capability and your sensitivity to make the orientation on the design, for sure. But if you want to go to the next level, you have to set back and let other people talk and be capable to understand in what they say what is right and what could be further improved. And we rework. There is no designs inside Čapek that have come out like, boom. No. It's hours, night of work, you know. Sometimes we call each other with Adrian from our beds. You know, oh, I think about that, but where are you? In my bed. Me too, I'm in my bed. Be careful, you know. Let's hang up before our wives come back. Our respective wife come back. So, no, it's, yeah, because it's a passion, because you are there and you live it so deeply. Now, this aspect, when you listen to people, you need to create clusters, which is maybe a more technical approach to it. but it's a real approach. You try to understand if there is a group of people thinking in a certain way, and which are looking for a certain type of things, and you want to surprise these guys. Okay, so again, you listen and you are here to surprise watch collector, but in your own way. So you let everyone, by the way, that we love, the other independents, you never go in their field, you remain in your field, and here you play with what is unexpected and creates the surprise that creates the beauty.
That's amazing. Right, it's a great answer, very philosophical, I love it. So what I always liked about your approach, it's also that you always call your suppliers partners. And I think that transparency today with this world is key, especially toward the collectors.
Again, this is a reflect of L'Air du Temps. We did not at all started, we're not the first ones to have done that. And then Max did it very beautifully, you know, in an extraordinary manner.
First with the Opus series
and for us, this was the way. And there was a huge benefit in doing that. But the other thing was that there was an extreme use of secrecy. It's a pity because, in fact, at the end, it's not our watch, you know. It's the watch, if I take, for example, this Kelleberg here, this watch is also the watch of Claude-Éric Jean from Dose et Cadran, who has created the enamel. It's also the watch of Laurent Weber from HMS Weber was made the hands. And this is, when we talk to them, this is what they feel. It's not the Čapek watch. It's the watch of each of these partners.
Absolutely.
And they sometimes come with ideas, new ideas, say, oh, I've been thinking yesterday about that. So it helps us, you know, growing that. But here below, there is a guilloche that has been flanqué, that has been stamped. And the creator of the guilloche are the people from RVK, a company of Metalem. So, you know, all these people, they work together and they create a team. And in that, you cannot create a team without trust.
Absolutely.
And the foundation of trust is transparency.
Xavier, one more question. What are the challenges today at Čapek?
To make watches, to
deliver watches.
Next question. It's incredible. The big challenge to understand how big we want to become. And in November, I was starting to see the beginning of that wave, and I was completely. We have been surprised in March when the wave came in. You know, I was not imagining how big it was going to be.
Of course.
I already kind of felt this. We're talking thousands, maybe thousands, but maybe not. You know, come on, let's remain calm. And then suddenly you just realize, yeah, you are there. You just wake up and you are there. And you have no clue how to move a very small company who was making 150 watches to a company making 1,500 watches maybe. Okay?
So this year, what's the production?
This year we will be making between 600 and 800 watches.
Okay.
The reason is we decided that we would grow. And one of the challenges is to grow, and the other challenge is to know how big we want to become.
Yes.
You know, but we don't want to rush. And of course, there is a lot of tension from the customers, from your customers, from you, from everyone, to say, okay, come on, just grow, just make my watch. You know, yeah, but no, it's not that easy.
Yes.
We don't want to. We want to keep the perfection behind the work of each of us, of our watchmaker. Now, we made a change in the certificate, for example, because each certificate now is signed also by the watchmaker. To explain to everyone that it doesn't matter how big we become, it's always one watch, one watchmaker. And in fact, it's one person that is the client, that is the watch lover, the watch collector. One watch and one watchmaker. Our very tiny atelier in Le Locle is now a bigger, better, nicer place in La Chaux-de-Fonds. And now we are all set for the next years. We have enough space for the next years.
Xavier, so we brought here today few watches. We're just missing the Place Vendôme collection with Tourbillon. but we have more or less a good assortment here. So can you show us a little bit, collection by collection, what was the concept and the several iterations we have here?
So here you have the original watch, you see with the two subdials, and this was the father of the Kedeberg. Okay, and you can see here the evolution of the two. The idea was a time travel. Okay, so from the past to the present, keeping some of the elements that were creating the beauty of the watch because they were creating a surprise. So very long numerals, the forged hands, etc., etc. The two subdials at the bottom, the power reserve with a double hand, and the week of the day indication. That's really cool. Now we did the same when we worked on the movement, and here you're gonna see the movement. Here we are. So when we place the two like this, we can see the movement that are very much inspired from the two, from the original one. We moved on to the chrono. We wanted to do a chrono, and we wanted to do it relatively early, but then we realized how quite impossible it was to have our own chrono with the two subdials at the bottom, and etc., etc. So we were like, ah. So we tried and we failed, and we tried and we failed, and that's the story behind the birth of the Rattrapante. Because in the end we succeeded, but that was thanks to these different trials. In the meantime, the people from Vaucher came to us saying, "We know that you are looking for a chrono. We have a chrono that we have not launched yet.
Wow.
We only did a Rattrapante version of that chrono for the brand that is the sister brand of Vaucher, and so for the Chronor. But we can do a version for you, and then that's it. It's a 5 hertz, etc. And we're like, wow, this is a machine. It's like when Maserati wanted to beat Ferrari, coming with an incredible clutch, and so really we love that horlogerie, strong, muscular, sporty. We created an incredible case inspired from the Kedeberg case.
I love the carrure and the axis.
With a recess.
Really, really cool.
In our watches, we would implement simple personalization options. So you can personalize your watch, choose, and then you can even go further, which is customization. And then when we were doing 150 watches, we were going also even into bespoke watches.
That's complicated.
Now we want to keep that.
Well, the personalization part, you kept it also in the Antarctique.
Yes, absolutely. So here again, when we launched so here is the Terra Deli Secret Alloy.
One of the first editions.
And so we created the first prototypes with 12 and with a double index. Okay, and again, half of the people like the 12, half of the people like the double index. We had to decide, and my sensation was that the double index was better combined.
I personally love the double index.
Okay, but then when came out the Passage de Drake, we decided, okay, let's do the opposite to kind of make the two stories because they are both nice. And then of course people told us, I want to have the double index also on the Passage de Drake. So we said, okay, we understand what we have to do. So you can have the Passage de Drake with a special, with a double index. And now we have the two options.
But you have options also on the bracelet, on the second hands. I mean, you can actually on the straps, on the extra straps as well.
Yeah.
You said that with the two small subdials that you have around 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, you reconnected with the first idea that you had also on the Faubourg de Cracovie. So
and on the Kedeberg.
And on the Kedeberg.
Yeah.
And on the Place Vendôme.
Yes. So the story was in 2015 we were already working on the concept of a chronograph that was on the dial side. And it's actually Jean-François that came up with an idea. We came up to the same conclusion, Jean-François and myself, which is to say, we cannot do a normal chronograph, because if we do a normal chronograph, we are in a range of price that will never pay for the volume we can make as Čapek. So we said, okay, we have to. Very often the solution is above you, you know. So you have to climb to the top of the mountain to get the solution. That was the case for the Rattrapante. So we needed to go to a better offer, to a better model. And Jean-François said to me, why don't we do a Rattrapante? I said, you can? I said, we can try. I mean, why not, you know? So we tried.
And you succeeded.
And we succeeded. And they succeeded and we succeeded all together in this teamwork, to get an incredible watch.
And it was immediately a big success. I remember it was Geneva Watch Days 2020?
Yeah.
2021?
2021. Yeah, this is when we started to think something is going on there. Something is happening. We don't exactly know what it is, and it was the beginning of the wave, you know. So that was the way it was born, and the little brother of the Rattrapante. Let me take the two together. So these are the two Antarctic. So the S, the small one, and the first one, which was the 40.5 millimeter. And the idea here again was led by erotism. Okay, it was the idea of what I call horological erotism. So you reveal, but not everything. You know, it's like the lingerie. You know, you want the beauty of the person to be revealed, but not totally, because that's much more exciting. And it's the same here. You want to reveal the beauty of the movement, but not show it totally. And that's how we worked on the conception of the movement. Here we did everything in-house, all the conception in-house. Also because the intensity of the design work needed to be freed from the usual limitations that the engineers, that are constructors, are putting. So it was very, we needed to really work on a white sheet of paper. And that's what we did. And that's why we succeeded in doing it.
And the movement is stunning. I love the bridges.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Xavier. It's been a super pleasure. Thanks for joining us in Milan.
You don't want to say that.
What?
You want to ask me what's coming.
Can we ask it?
You can ask, of
Can
course.
you say it?
No.
Oh, come on. What's coming?
No, I can say a few things. I won't tell you everything I told you yesterday night.
Okay.
Okay? That was the beauty of the dinner together. It has to be to remain a secret between us. But no, I had the chance, thanks to my youngest kid, okay, who is 11-year-old, to meet a great watchmaker, an incredible watchmaker. And this watchmaker needed some help from a guy like me, and I needed some help from a guy like him. And I asked the board of Čapek the authorization to start a collaboration. And the thing came together so well that we became friends, and we decided to make a watch together. And this is going to be released in 2023. It's a complication, it's a combination of escapements that has already been done.
It's going to be insane.
But the execution has never been done this way. And so we had it as a pending assignment because nobody had found the solution on the construction to do that, the design that Adrien had made. But we found with Bernard the way to
he said the name of the watchmaker.
the first name.
First name. Revelation.
And we found a way to work together and to create something that is going to be beautiful. So that's the new.
Can't wait to see.
That's for next year.
He didn't show me any picture, any drawing, nothing. We were just talking about it, and wow.
So that's
Really can't wait to see
that's for next year between March and September. Okay, excellent. Thanks.
Thanks again, Xavier.
Thanks.
Thank you very
It's
much
so
for being
good
with
to be
us.
together.
And well, let's make it again.
Yes.
I would say. Ciao, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
The rules.
The roots.
Di pollo, no? Peli di pollo.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Yeah, thank you. This is a class of English for Italians.
You know we're gonna put all these clips at the end.
I know.